Alright guys, I kind of started one, but it wasn't going to quite be enough. Excuse me. What I'm going to make, it's basically a little pouch. This is some tooling. It's, I don't know what ounce it is, but I'm going to make me another little pouch for my, keep my tinder and stuff like that in. Just basically fire only. It's all it's going to be for. I'll have some flint inside of it. More or less a learning project. The first design that I made, and the reason that I kind of went with it, is basically this right here. And that's going to be pretty much the size of it. It'll be more of a squared case in itself to kind of keep everything down inside of it. It's made out of leather. But the thing that I'm running into, by going 3.5, which is the size of the form that I'm going to use off of a 2x4, but I'm going to actually rip that down to just 3 inches. That's going to give me an extra inch of leather, which will bring that on down to about right here, which will give me a little better fastening to flip it over. That just wasn't enough for me to do that. So basically what I've done is I went ahead and marked it out because it's going to be 5 inches in width. So all I did was take my measure and stick here, marked it over 5, done the same thing up there and put 5. I came up on it 3 inches, which was about right here, and I put a mark there and one over here. Now I'm just going to draw that line out. And basically that gives me that first form. Now since I'm not going to be taking the thickness of it out, which is going to be basically 1.5 inches in the thickness of the 2x4 in itself, so I'm just going to come right back up 1.5 inches, because that's where the fold's going to be. Same thing on this one here, just basically marking it out 1.5. Come right back across, connecting the 2 dots, and that basically gives me that set there. So it means I've got to come from there, since that's my other fold, and I'm going to go back up 3 more inches, which is up to here. Same thing here, 3 more inches, and I'll come right on across to line the 2 of them up. And that gives me that part. Now since I know that that was the part that I was doing there, this is the bottom, or this is the front. This piece of squared here will be the front, that'll be the bottom, then this right here will be the back of it, and then that means if that's the back, I've got to have the fold to come over. So again, 1.5 inches from that last line, which will put it there. Still haven't gotten over that coal of mine. You would think by now I would have done whipped it, but I have not yet whipped it. We're working on 9 days now. Although I am functionable, I'm just not 100%. Now that I've got that set with my lines basically set into it, so you can see it, I'm just going to come back and cut it off. And the reason for that is so that whenever I start to make those folds, there's the pattern. It's not complete though, and the reason that it's not complete is I want to make sure that I have all the folds. Now since I'm not going to go ahead and fold this one right here first, so you can see, I'm just going to show you how I've made that fold to where it's on the line. Basically, you just take your ruler, put it right on the edge of that, flip it up, crease right across the back right here. That gives it the crease. Same thing for the next one. Gives it the crease that you're wanting. And you just keep repeating that process until you've gotten to where you're at, and that's how you get the creases in it. Now, for the sides, I'll come back and I'll show you what I'm going to do for those, because this is going to be a trick, because I've never done this type of stitching before. Instead of stitching this the way that I've done so many of the other things that I've done, I'm going to come in from the angle, putting that inside of it. I'll be coming in, I'll tack it down. I'll be coming and marking my lines all the way around and up. I'm going to cross stitch that, I guess in a sense. I'm going in it and into the other piece of stitching over there, and then tying it, coming back, and it's going to be back and forth, back and forth. So that's going to be the interesting part for me, because I've never done that before. So it may even be proved to be a wasted piece of leather. I hope not, but it could be. But we'll get back to that in just a second. Oh well, it was already recording, but I just wanted to get that gouge. So now that I've got it, it's just kind of slow, because one actual cut wrong could actually mess this whole piece up. There. Now, I'm not going to film doing all of them, but see now how that crease, that piece to where it's pretty much bendable without having to wet form it and everything. So I'll go ahead and do all the other lines, and I'll be right back. Man, well, there it is. You know, the leather now is just kind of formed, folded, and it's got a nice little pocket area inside of it. Once that's all stitched and sewn in, it'll kind of come together, do a little better. You could actually turn this into a pouch that would be able to carry a certain amount of shells and things like that, and that's kind of like what the design's from. By doing it that way, you just put a buckle fastener that slides up, and you unload it from the bottom, which is how it works. But that's not how I'm going to do this. I want to use it for just basically a fire kit only, which is going to be a little lengthier video than I've normally done, because I want to kind of come up with some kind of tooling that I've never done before. I figure I've got the tools, I've got to learn to use them, so that's what I got to do. So we'll get back to the tooling part here in just a second, but I'll be right back. Well, we're going to scratch the tooling part for right now. I freehanded the little Indian tying his little knapsack. I'm not quite sure the process. Like I said, I've only watched a video or two and seen how they've done it. It probably would have came out, but I'm going to scratch that, probably put a few little stamps that I've got, tooling stamps, maybe make a design or something that way, but I'm not going to actually sit down and carve anything on this thing right now, although I would like to, but I just don't think the freehand part of it is my cup of tea for right now. I just want to see if I can actually get this thing together, although it would look nice to have, you know, the little Indian that I had in my head. He was sitting there. It's off of the Wildwood Wisdom book that I have. As you can see, I kind of drawed it out, but to actually get all of that in there, it's a little more advanced than I am at this point, and down to the last piece of this leather, and I'm not going out to buy any more anytime soon. Spring's hit us today, March 20th, and not going to be doing any tooling on this. So if I do anything, it might be some basket weave or maybe a little tree or something other up in a little scenery or something like that, but that's going to be about to the extent of it. Might hit an eagle in there or something because I've done a few of those, but we'll see where we're at after that in a few minutes. But right now, don't be looking forward to any major tooling. Okay, I played around with some stuff with the tools, the basic kit that I have in the tool crafting. This is what I came up with. I guess that's why they sell it and call it the basic, because that's exactly what you're going to get. It's the basic. Just a little scenery that I created. Kind of played with it, learned how to do it. Now it's time to transfer that over to the front of my case where it's going to be at, which will be right there where the case is. So do a little leather preparing. Now I'm just spraying this down with a bottle of water that I have here. Whenever, from what I'm told and what I'm understanding, is when that leather gets back to about the color that it originally was, then the leather is ready for tooling. Is this going to be perfect? No, because I'm still learning this little trick that I seen a guy do at the Tandy Leather Shop where I get my leather from, and he kind of gave me a brief description, all of about 13 seconds, and he did a tree, and I watched him, and that's where I'm going with this one here. So, and I see where my leather is bent, so I know that's going to be the top area that I'm going to be working with. And basically bad thing about tooling and stuff like that. You really just get one shot. Wet my leather just a smidgen because it's not giving me the full what I'm looking for, although it is still coming out fairly well. Guess that's the beauty of a tree. Even with leather, because Mother Nature doesn't have to make it perfect, and neither does Mike Ware. Alright, now I got that out. It's time to put a mountain in. And I'm thinking an eagle. Alright, I don't know if you can see how that's coming out or not, but I did. Now I got a little quiet because I got carried away in my scenery. Alright, there's my scenery. It's a nice little mountain ridge. Kind of goes along with my theory. That's what I consider myself, just an old ridge runner. Well, I ain't that old. I'm only 45. Heck, I'm still young. What am I talking about? But there you go. And then I'll get back in a second.